Hello everyone, Darren from Dratec Australia and New Zealand, and welcome to Wyland Technology's presentation on Dratec Wireless Management Solutions. This will be a continuation of our webinar series covering Wi-Fi mesh, where we introduced the wireless mesh solutions available and went through management and troubleshooting of wireless mesh installations in Dratec routers and access points. In this webinar, we'll be looking at monitoring and management. I'll start with a brief recap of our previous webinars, then go through the different ways to manage the Wi-Fi network. We'll look at AP-based management and router-based management. Then we'll finish up by looking at software-based solutions that are available. If you have any questions during the video, please comment in the chat box on the right side of the screen and stick around at the end for a 5-minute Q&A. If you're watching this after the premiere, please comment below or send an email to sales@dratec.com.au. Okay, just in case you missed our previous webinars, I'll briefly go over the main points that we covered. So we discussed what a wireless mesh network is and that it can be used to quickly extend a wireless network to cover areas where no Ethernet cabling is available. It also creates a seamless Wi-Fi roaming environment. We then looked at the steps to deploy a wireless mesh network by using the Quick Start wizard to enable the mesh route and then discover the mesh nodes. There's 3 steps to creating a mesh group. The first step is to configure the mesh route. Next, we place mesh nodes close to the mesh route, then scan and add members into the mesh group. The mesh route then pushes the configuration to mesh nodes. Once this is done, move the mesh nodes to the designated positions. Finally, power on the mesh nodes hop by hop, making sure their statuses are online. When completed, the mesh group is ready to serve the clients. In part 2, we continued on and looked at wireless mesh management, followed by the mesh maintenance tasks shown here. And we concluded by introducing mesh monitoring, which leads us to today's topic, where we'll look at the different ways to manage and monitor the Wi-Fi network in more detail. Okay, we'll start by looking at Dratec's access point-based management solution, known as AP-APM. Later model Dratec Vigor access points now include the central AP management feature, which can be used to manage multiple access points in the wireless network. It's a TR-069 based management system, and there's no need to install a software controller or have a router with an access point management feature. As shown in this diagram, the route AP can be set up to manage the node access points as well as the mesh route. We should note that the route AP used for AP management is not the same as the mesh route AP. They perform different functions. Also bear in mind that APs need to be connected to the network with LAN cables in order to use AP-APM. That doesn't mean the wireless connected mesh nodes will miss out. What happens is you make changes to the mesh route AP and then it pushes those changes to the wireless mesh nodes. The number of access points that can be managed varies by model and can be up to 50. The Vigor AP 903 will be able to manage up to 20 access points. This setup is suitable for small to medium-sized installations on a local area network. The route AP is the administrator for a group of node access points. The functions performed by the route AP are search for node APs, adopt or delete node APs, provision configuration to node APs, monitor member APs and Wi-Fi clients, and it can also reset the management group. Also, we should note that only a limited number of access points can be used as the route AP. This includes the Vigor AP 903, 912C, 960C, and the 1060C. The node APs are access points that are managed by the route access point. In addition, the functions of the node AP are to respond to the route AP's search for nodes and monitor Wi-Fi clients. Also, since the AP-based APM can only manage wired access points, node APs need to use an Ethernet uplink to the route AP. That's for node APs, not mesh node APs. Mesh node APs are managed via the mesh route AP, not the route AP as such. Here's some information on the APM communication mechanism. Points to note are that APM uses UDP packets and port 4944 for node adoption. Also, TR-069 is used for data exchange. This does not affect communication with Vigor ACS or Vigor Connect, so both management systems can be used at the same time. Please pause the video here if you'd like to view this slide for longer. Okay, moving on. When deploying AP-based management, there are 3 main steps to set up APM. The first is to enable the route AP role in the main access point. For this to work, the route AP will need to be in either AP mode or range extender mode. It won't work when the access point is in mesh root mode. Next, we discover the access points on the local network, which are connected by Ethernet LAN cable. Then we select the access points to manage. I'll go through a short demonstration to show you how quick and simple it is to get going. First, we check the operation mode. It will need to be set to either AP mode or range extender mode. Let's go with AP mode for this demonstration. Now click OK to save the settings and wait a few moments for the changes to take effect. Next, go to the Central AP Management General Setup page. Here we select Enable Root AP Mode and click OK to save the settings. Next, click on the Discover Node button to discover all the access points on the local network that are hardwired to the same network as the root AP. When the Discover process is completed, a list of access points will appear. Then select the devices you want to manage and click OK to save. Now to check the status of the devices being managed, go to the Node Status page. Here you can see the devices in the list along with some additional information, such as the SSIDs, wireless channel, uptime, and the installed firmware version. OK. When new nodes join the APM network, they will be provisioned using the settings in the Basic and Advanced Configuration Sync menu. Items that can be configured are syslog mail alert settings, Wi-Fi settings, and policy settings for Wi-Fi clients. There's also a few maintenance tasks that can be carried out from the root AP. The first is to remove nodes from the managed list. To do this, go to the General Setup menu page. The tick in the Mode column indicates that the node is being managed. To delete a single node, click on the X in the last column next to the node. Also, clicking on the Clear button will delete unselected devices. Deleting a node AP will not change any of its settings, it just removes it from the managed list. The next maintenance task is to change configuration of the managed access points. To do this, go to the Basic and Advanced Configuration Sync menus. Select the changes required and click on the Sync button to push the settings to all the managed access points. We can also monitor the managed access points from the Node Status menu, which we looked at briefly earlier. We can see the configuration sync status, where a green icon with a tick indicates sync has succeeded. We can also see warning messages shown in red. A connect error indicates the access point has become disconnected. Other items that can be viewed are the first SSID for each Wi-Fi band and the channel used. The number of attached clients is also displayed. We also have the uptime of the access point and the current firmware version installed. APM-related syslogs can be viewed in the APM log menu. This can help to identify any problems when managing the AP group. Another way to manage access points in a local area network is to use the built-in access point-based management solution available in higher-end Dratek routers. As shown in this diagram, higher-end Dratek routers provide a single portal management solution to manage Dratek access points and VIGA switches. We'll focus on access point management in this webinar. The router-based access point management can manage up to 50 access points, however this varies by router model from 20 to 50. The tasks performed by the router APM are discover access points, adopt or delete managed access points, provision the configuration to managed APs, monitor managed APs and Wi-Fi clients, and finally it can trigger managed access points to carry out system maintenance tasks. The AP management menu is available within the Central Management main menu in the router web interface as shown here. Like AP-APM, router-based APM communication uses UDP port 4944 to discover access points on the LAN. The access point sends unicast register packets to the router. The control plane of the router APM doesn't use TR069, it uses a special protocol developed by Dratek which uses AES data encryption. The router will send a query to each access point every minute to report on the online status in the AP dashboard page. Note that the AP status page is not automatically updated and you will need to click on the refresh button to update the information. You can create up to 5 profiles which can be applied to groups of access points on the LAN. Also, zero-touch deployment, auto-provisioning, can only be enabled in the default profile, which is profile 1 on this page. Other profiles, 2 to 5, do not have the auto-provision option checkbox in the menu. Within each profile, most configuration settings are available to configure the access points. This includes the access point admin password, Wi-Fi LAN settings such as the channel used, airtime fairness, band steering and roaming, and so on. Also, you can add settings for each SSID, access control lists, and station control. Before using the APM function in the router, we need to enable external device auto discovery in the external device menu within central management. Once enabled, the router will broadcast a discover packet on the LAN to discover any access points. Once discovered, they'll appear in the external devices connected list. Once access points are discovered, they're automatically configured by the default profile numbered 1 if auto provision is enabled. Other profiles have to be manually selected and applied to the required access points. One feature available in router-based access point management is AP load balancing. This works by dissociating Wi-Fi clients so they'll reconnect to another nearby access point. Without load balancing, you can end up with a situation where a single access point has to handle all the client connections. Not so bad in a small home network, but in a large Wi-Fi deployment, it can cause the access point to become overloaded, resulting in poor performance. By installing multiple access points in the network, the traffic load can be shared equally between each access point. For example, if we have 180 users, by using 8 access points that are load balanced, we'll have about 22 or 23 client connections on each access point. The load balancing can be triggered by setting a traffic limit or by setting the maximum number of Wi-Fi clients connected to each wireless band in the access point. The client limit will be the same as what is set in the access point in the general setup page. There's 3 possible actions that can be selected when the threshold is exceeded. These are, firstly, to stop accepting new connections on the access point, then any Wi-Fi client attempting to connect will be forced to connect to the next available AP. Next is to dissociate existing stations with the longest idle time. And the third is to dissociate existing stations by worst signal strength. The end result is that each access point is equally loaded or close to it. In the access point, there's also an option to add Wi-Fi clients to a whitelist so that these clients will not be dissociated during load balancing actions in the router APM. Now let's look at how to change access point configuration using the router-based access point management. The recommended method is to first change the settings in the wireless LAN profiles in the router, then provision the settings to the member access points. If the mesh route is managed by the Vigor router, the settings will not be updated automatically. You'll need to first push the wireless LAN profile to the mesh route, then use the sync button on the mesh route to push the configuration to all the mesh nodes. Router-based AP management also allows some maintenance tasks to be carried out. This includes configuration backup and restore, firmware upgrades, remote reboot, as well as resetting the AP to factory defaults. The access points can be selected from the list in the menu, and the action can be applied to all of them at the same time. The router APM also includes a dashboard as shown here. Here you can see the status of all the managed access points. The units with green text are online, and the ones which are offline or not connected are in red. Other features include the event log, total traffic, and the number of connected stations. The status menu displays additional information as indicated by the column headings at the top of the page. Clicking on the Details link displays a summary of the access point details. SSID shows the SSID used for the first 2.4 and 5 GHz bands. Here the icon changes if a hidden SSID is enabled. The CH column displays the current channel setting for the Wi-Fi. STA list displays the number of connected Wi-Fi clients on the first 2.4 and 5 GHz SSIDs. Clicking on the number will display more information on the Wi-Fi clients, and the VER dot column displays the firmware version for each access point. The total traffic menu page in the router AP management section shows the current LAN traffic for each access point being managed. This will help to set up rules for overload management. The total traffic shown in the router AP management in the screenshot on the left here will match the traffic graph for the corresponding access point in the black graph on the bottom right, which will match the traffic graph in the access point itself shown above it. The number of Wi-Fi clients can also be monitored in the station number menu under the router AP management page. It shows the number of connected clients over a 2-hour time period. In the access point, you can see the corresponding data as shown in the diagram on the right. The event log for each access point will help to identify any problems. When setting up a Wi-Fi network, you might wonder whether to use a Wi-Fi mesh or access point management to manage and monitor the network. In the table shown here, I've listed some criteria to use for that decision. Firstly, is there a VIGA router on the site that can be used to manage the Wi-Fi network? Next, do we need to manage the wireless mesh nodes? Also, look at the number of access points to manage. If you look at the first row, we have a VIGA router on site, and we also need to manage a wireless mesh node, and the total number of access points is less than 50. So we can use the router-based APM to manage all wireless access points and use the mesh to manage the wireless nodes. Keep in mind that the maximum number of access points that can be managed by a VIGA router or access point will vary depending on the router or access point model. For example, a VIGA 2865 router can only manage a maximum of 20 access points. For a larger number of access points, it's recommended to use either VIGA Connect or VIGA ACS software. Let's take a quick look at those. As mentioned, there are two software-based management solutions that are available to manage a Wi-Fi network. The first one is VIGA Connect. This is free software that can be downloaded from our website. It allows you to manage up to 100 access points or VIGA switches on the local network. Some of the features of VIGA Connect are auto discovery, where LAN devices can be discovered and then be easily added to the management list. It provides centralized monitoring and allows you to get device status, client info, and CPU usage over a specified period, and you can be notified with alarms and logs. Remote maintenance allows you to arrange firmware upgrades or configuration backups or restores according to a time schedule. We ran a webinar some time ago on VIGA Connect. If you'd like to learn more about it, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And here we have a screenshot of the dashboard of VIGA Connect showing details of an access point being managed. Next, we have the VIGA ACS network management solution. This software is subscription-based but includes a lot more functionality than VIGA Connect and can manage devices remotely. Listed here are some of the features, which include zero-touch deployment and provisioning, unified monitoring interface, one-to-one WUI configuration, scheduled maintenance, and scheduled reporting. Here we have the VIGA ACS dashboard page for an access point. It includes most of the information you can see using VIGA Connect, as well as some additional data. So how do you decide which management platform is right for you? Well, the table shown here will help you decide. For a single site on a single LAN with less than 100 access points, VIGA Connect will be a suitable solution. If you manage multiple sites or have more than 100 access points to manage, then it's recommended to use VIGA ACS software. Keep in mind that the cost is based on the number of nodes that need to be managed. Please give us a buzz for a quote. Okay, so to summarise, today we started with a recap of our previous webinars where we looked at what a wireless mesh network is, what a mesh route is, and how it is used in mesh deployment and monitoring. Then we looked at AP-based management and the functions of the route AP as well as the node AP. We also looked at APM deployment and maintenance tasks. Next, we went through router-based AP management and its deployment, which included access point load balancing, and we also covered maintenance tasks that can be carried out as well. And finally, we wrapped up by looking at software-based solutions, which included VIGA Connect and VIGA ACS. Okay, that's all for now, but please stay tuned. We'll be answering questions in the live chat on the right of your screen for the next 5 minutes. For more information about Draytech products, please check out our website at www.draytech.com.au or send us an email to sales@draytech.com.au or give us a call on 02 9838 8899. Don't forget to like and subscribe below, and if you'd like a notification anytime we put up a new video, please give the bell a click too. Thanks and bye for now.